What is going on, guys? In today's video, I will show you the top 10 best builds in Throne and Liberty that you must try out. So for each build, I'll give you a quick overview of its playstyle and their main skill rotations, so then you could decide which one you prefer more. Also, after you decide what build you want to try out, check this video's description for each build's dedicated video and build link. So for the first build, we have the crossbow and dagger. This is currently the highest DPS setup in the game, because both of your weapons have extremely high damage, and if you use the build right, then it will consistently reach 20 stacks of thunderclouds, which will give you explosive damage. And you can activate this every few seconds. Crossbow and daggers are both unique weapons because they are dual-wielded. What makes dual wielding so unique is that for every attack you do with these weapons, there's a chance to get a double hit with their offhand. And on top of that, you can even increase the chance of this by using the selfless diffusion, which will increase your damage by 2 or even 4 times. Dexterity will be your key to success, so you'll need to build it as much as possible. Having high attack speed increases the animations of your skills, allowing you to get more skills every second, thus increasing our DPS even further. So, if you're looking for the best meta DPS build for both PvE and PvP, then this is the one for you. Remember, you can check this video's description for a full dedicated build video and a link to this build on a website. So then, for the second build, we have the longbow and staff. This setup is a glass cannon that deals huge amount of damage from long range by maximizing its passives and items. You'll need to manage your cooldowns effectively, but if you follow instructions, then you'll be melting anyone that stands in your way. As far as playstyle goes, you'll want to be stationary as much as possible, so that our rapid-fire stance and asceticism passives would get us the highest damage possible. Also, in your main DPS rotation, you'll want to make sure that you cast the focused firebombs and hellfire rain as much as possible to upkeep very high burn stacks. This build's pros are having high self-sustain, good range DPS, also high AoE damage and very high single target DPS as well. The only issue most players usually mention is that the bow is quite mana hungry, but if you play it right, then this should not be a problem. So if you enjoy a strictly ranged DPS playstyle, then this is the one for you. Next we have greatsword and dagger. At first, this build may seem just like another bruiser. However, thanks to passive skills like Vital Force and Cold Warrior, its damage output can be very high. And once you fully complete it, in the end game, this setup can reach over 300 skill damage boost and 500 heavy attack chance. So by combining our increased damage from greatsword skills with the increased critical hit and critical damage from dagger skills, will turn us into a deadly machine. Greatsword and dagger revolves around rotating your buffs into your DPS skills. Daggers have a higher attack speed, so keeping them out may allow you to get additional attacks off in between skills, while the greatsword skills will keep you protected and give you the best buff in the game. Also, even though most players prefer to stack as much HP as possible, because of the Vital Force, we'll still be increasing our damage while getting more tankier at the same time. So if you want to be a melee assassin with the most popular weapon in the game, the greatsword, then this is the one for you. Next we have staff and wand. This is the most versatile healer setup in the game, because you can heal while also doing a great amount of DPS. As our weapon combination has stronger and more spammable AoE abilities than any other healer combo, so this makes her preferred when farming in the open world and dungeons. The wand and staff is high spam, and you'll need to understand how to maximize your ability rotations to achieve the best damage. This build has powerful AoE abilities like Judgment Lightning, Chain Thunder, and Inferno Wave that allow you to kill big mobs quickly, while at the same time giving you skills such as High Focus, Inner Peace, and Asceticism, which gives you heals, damage, and support abilities with lower cooldowns without even worrying about depleting your mana. If you enjoy traditional mage DPS builds, but also want to heal and support allies, then this is the one for you. So then, for the fifth build, we have longbow and crossbow. This setup is only godlike for PvE, as it can dish out a constant barrage of damage. Because of high bonus damage stacking and these two weapons having the ability to throw out a massive number of hits, the longbow and crossbow players are among the top on the DPS leaderboards. Also, by building up from your skills and passives, you'll get low cooldowns and have a very high amount of hit chance, ensuring that you can keep doing DPS for a very long time. The main goal of this build and your skill rotations is to use few skills to increase our damage and cast time, So then we can do great damage and use detonation mark, which for the next few seconds will accumulate all of the damage we deal and then explode and deal 40% of our total damage in those few seconds. So if you want to play a build that is similar to a machine gun, then this is the one for you. Next up we have Staff and Dagger. This setup is pretty much a mage assassin that at his full potential provides up to 200 heavy attack chance and 150 skill damage boost. But because of your high cooldowns in this build, you'll need plenty of cooldown speed to reach your full potential. And without it, you'll not be as good. So this setup is amazing but will require decent enough gear to reach the highest damage possible. This build has insane amount of high single target burst damage, and its main playstyle will revolve around maintaining 10 burning stacks and 20 thundercloud stacks, which will provide exceptional AoE and single target DPS. So if you're looking for a deadly PvE and PvP build, then this is the one for you. So then for the next one, we have Sword and Shield with Greatsword build. This setup will focus on utilizing the strengths of both of these weapons for a ton of HP and heavy attack chance. When you get the best gear, you'll have one of the best AoE farming potentials in the game because of passives like Spectrum of Agony, and also because of active skills that can work off of each other such as Frost Cleaving and Ice Tornado. As a tank, you'll be redirecting 70% of your teammates' damage taken to yourself, while at the same time significantly increasing your party's damage. And on top of all this, we will be doing insane amount of damage, as by using specific skills and passives, we will lower our cooldowns dramatically. So if you want to be a melee monster, both as a tank and DPS, then this is the build for you. Next up we have Longbow and Wand. This setup is great for party-wide buffs in the form of cooldown reduction, mana regeneration, critical hits, and accuracy. This is a very versatile healer build because you can heal while also doing great amount of DPS. Our weapon combination has strong buffs and more spammable skills, so this makes her preferred when doing any type of group PvE content. By taking advantage of unique skills such as Nature's Blessing, you'll ensure that your party has the best mana sustain throughout a boss fight. Longbow also has the only CC cleanse ability called Purifying Touch. With this ability, you're able to uniquely help your party get past certain dungeon mechanics that would be more challenging for parties without a player like you. So if you enjoy traditional ranged builds but also want to heal and support your allies, then this is the one for you. Then for one of the last ones, we have Sword and Shield with Wand. I like to call this build as the Paladin setup. And this particular build is very unique in the sense that we are going to be a tank that can heal at the same time. Players usually prefer just to go healer or tank separately, but the question is, what happens when you combine all roles together? Well, we get this monster that can tank and heal at the same time, while still doing big AoE damage. Compared to other melee-focused builds, it lacks in damage, but it more than makes up for it in durability and utility. Thanks to skills like Counter Barrier, Swift Healing, and Blessed Barrier, you're gonna be the only man standing. Your performance will directly scale with gear level, and the difference between a geared tank and a non-geared tank is huge. So you'll need to grind. I personally haven't ever died once in this build. And if you're ready to not even notice the enemy hits and heal more than other healers, then this is the one for you. And now for the last and final one, we have Longbow and Dagger. In this setup, the Longbow provides high single target DPS at range, while the Dagger provides amazing passives. This build's pros are that you get really good self-sustain and high single target DPS, but you are very reliant on cooldown speed, so you'll want to make your build around reducing as much waiting time as possible. Most of your skills will line up to around the same cooldown by using the correct specializations. So if you follow my build's instructions, then you should be able to do high amount of damage 24/7. This build's main rotation is to initially use Strafing and Zephyr's Knock, which will give us max Thundercloud stacks. So then we would want to use Shadow Escape to move behind the enemy and then do big damage with the Thundercloud's bombing and rest of our huge DPS skills. If you're looking for a powerful build that takes time to master but gives you a fun playstyle, then here it is. So, if you enjoyed this video, click like, subscribe, and comment. If you're interested in more content, then check out my channel and I'll see you in the next one. So take it easy, peace.